What's up people, welcome back to my channel. This is my Avatar, The Weight of Water spoiler talk. So if you haven't yet seen this movie, this is your spoiler warning. Now without any further delay, let's hop right into this, let's go. As I said in my spoiler free review, this film definitely plays on nostalgia and I enjoyed it. The film starts with an opening monologue by Jake, essentially recapping the first film and telling us what's happened in the time since. That was the best way to return to Pandora, especially after a 13-year hiatus and a 15-year time jump within the story. So to kick things off, I'm going to run through some of the nostalgic references and parallels I've picked up on, and if I've missed any, let me know in the comments below. Okay, so firstly, during the monologue, Jake refers to himself as a Jarhead when he's describing how long it has taken him to learn the Na'vi language. Now, I thought this was a brilliant and cheeky little nod to when he actually claimed to be from the Jarhead clan. I know it sounds stupid, but it worked. That kind of lingo just stuck with him and I liked it. A nice little tribute, little piece of fan service. Another one I noticed was when Colonel Quaritch was going up the floating Hallelujah mountains to try to catch a mountain banshee. Immediately, my mind just went back to when Jake had to do that back in the first film. That's not just because it was a cool scene, but it was a very iconic moment. Like, you must choose the Banshee and the Banshee must also choose you, and they will only ever have one rider in their lifetime. So that, I don't know, it felt significant. And revisiting this location and seeing Quaritch try to do the same, yeah, it hit that key. And the icing on the cake is when Spider said, yeah, by the way, when you're doing that, you might want to tie up their mouth. I was like, yeah, fan service on point, peaking like 100. I also noticed that the sequences of the Sully family learning the ways of water very much mirrored that of when Jake had to learn the ways of the forest Na'vi in the first film. And interestingly enough, when they arrive at the village and Jake speaks with Tonwari, their chief, Tonwari instructs his kids, like especially his son Anung, to teach Jake's kids their ways. And yeah, he was very reluctant. He replied by saying, do I have to? To which Tonwari replied, it is decided. Now what makes this so interesting is the fact that that is the exact same dialogue spoken between Ney'tiri and her father back in the first movie when she was instructed to teach Jake their ways. And I was like, hey, that sounds familiar. But I rewatched the first one like just a night or two before watching Avatar 2. I want to add to that, when Anung and his pals were teaching Jake's kids their ways, they got into a bit of a scuffle, they got a bit bullied, right? So immediately my mind went back to the first film, back to when Tsu'tey used to bully Jake for struggling to learn their ways. Another stand-up parallel is between Mike Scoresby, or we can call him Evil Steve Irwin, and Parker Selfridge. Now Parker was inhumane. He didn't care about Pandora's natives, nah. He only wanted to obtain unobtainium, the highly valuable mineral which could earn him a big buck. Now similarly, Evil Steve is only interested in the Tulkun brain fluid, Amrita, which just so happens to stop human aging. Yo, Google, add Amrita to my wish list. Anyway, yeah, he was only interested in that again for money. Like, is that really worth hunting Tulkun for? Like, my friend Alfie, he told me that his girlfriend Denny was crying the whole time. Well, he actually didn't specify throughout that scene or throughout the movie, but that's the implication I got. Man, you know what? I get that. I understand that. Of course, that scene was, that stuff was twisted. And interestingly, Evil Steve has a scientist working for him who completely disapproves of his methods, but is forced to comply or tolerate them because that's the only way he actually gets to pursue his passion, which is science on like an alien planet. But the reason why this is important is not only because it serves as a key contrast in this film, is the fact that it also mirrors that of Grace and Parker. Again, playing the nostalgia card, but it works for the story. Now I'd say the last bits of nostalgic parallels came within the final act of the film, and the first would be Neteyam's death. When Jake is consoling Ney'tiri, he says to her, strong heart. To many that would just sound like keep strong, and it was that, but there was more to it. It throws back to the first film, specifically when they first meet. When Jake asks her, why did you save me? She says that I saved you because you have a strong heart. Now in this moment it feels like, yes, He's telling her to stay strong because she will need to remain strong for what is yet to come. There will indeed be a time to grieve for Ney'tiri, but that time is not now. Just that one simple throwback conveyed all that. That is brilliant writing. Another was that at the end there was essentially a rematch between Jake and Quaritch, because once again they fight in the final act and Jake emerges victorious again, and both times even Ney'tiri intervenes and is a very critical part of those two final encounters. And now the final nostalgic parallel reference or throwback I picked up on came literally at the very end of the film. The last shot of both films is a close-up of Jake's face. The camera zooms in gradually, his eyes are shut, and just as his eyes are about to open, the screen cuts to Now, returning to something I mentioned earlier, one moment in particular that really stood out to me in this film was Ney'tiri's death. The camera pans up to Lurk's hands and they are smothered in his brother's blood. Now, I interpreted this as a literal depiction of the expression blood on your hands, as he considers himself responsible for his brother's passing. It is also the result of a concept hinted at throughout the movie. Jake constantly scolded Lurk for endangering Ney'tiri, because every time he'd cause trouble, Ney'tiri would step in and take the blame and put himself on the line. Now, unfortunately, this was one time too many, from which he didn't make it out alive. And that is one of the things that I praise this film for. The main characters are not entirely protected by plot armor. You truly do feel the sense of vulnerability and desperation from our characters. This film is very humanized despite being oriented around aliens. You know, it's funny, we as people say that something is alienated to describe things foreign or different to us. It's just kind of ironic, right, how a film about aliens is humanized. I don't know, it's just a funny irony. What do you think? Now, something I have mixed feelings about is the return of Quaritch and his squad. Like, on one hand, I loved their return. It was so cool getting to see them come back, but in Avatar form this time. And yeah, the nostalgia angle does play a part of this, but hey, who doesn't like a good rematch, especially when it's handled as well as this film does? This levels the playing field between Quaritch and Jake. They now have the speed, the size, the stamina, the strength. And I've got to say, his performance was strong all throughout. Like, I cannot fault it. But the thing bothering me is that the film felt too focused on the rematch or revenge angle than it did about humans trying to colonize Pandora to be their new home. So in my spoiler-free review, when I said this isn't the story I thought we were going to get, like, this is exactly what I meant. Also, it makes you think, was the success of this film so dependent on the old characters that killing them off in the predecessor was a mistake? Is it incapable of telling a new story and being just as profound? I don't know. Food for thought. Something to discuss. And now, unfortunately, I'm having thoughts of food. And my last gripe with the film, right, is like, what happened to the water Na'vi? Like, yeah, they were there during the charge, and that was epic. Like, when good old Paya Khan shot up out of the water, and yeah, like, my guy laid hell. You know, like when Evil Steve's arm went flying off, yeah, I was like, feels good. But where were the water Na'vi when Jake and the fam needed them most? Like, bro, are you telling me the Hydra homies went from like H2O to H2 gone? You telling me they just like evaporated or something? You know what, Jake, you can do better, man. They ain't your real ones. But yeah, that's about all my gripes with the film. Now, in terms of speculation, I've got two theories in particular. Now, my first is that I believe eventually Spider and Lurk will grow apart. As the films progress, I feel like when they reach their prime, they are going to become the forefront of the franchise. And I do believe that Lurk will stand in his father's respective shoes, and the same with Spider standing in place of Quaritch. And I believe the two will go head to head to once and for all decide the fate of Pandora. Now, my second theory is that the reason Kiki's conception is a mystery is simply because she actually does not have a father. Now, the film dwells on this idea a lot. When Grace passes away, she says that she is with Awa, and then Kiki says that she can hear Awa's heartbeat. And we see her perform some extraordinary things, and that leads me to ponder that Kiki could indeed be a manifestation of some kind of Awa. So let me know down in the comments below what you think of my theories, because I definitely want to hear some of yours. So to wrap up, people, I loved this movie. I would rate it a solid 8.7 out of 10. This film beautifully captures emotion, from Ney'tiri's song at the beginning and end, to Netaim's passing, to Payakan revealing why he's considered a killer among other Tolkien, paired with the fact that this film has the right moderate balance of humour, combined with immense cinematography and just mind-blowing visual effects. This film through and through is a true piece of art. And that's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button, hit the bell icon, hit subscribe, share this with your friends and family, and of course in the comments let me know some of the nostalgic parallels I may have missed, some of the ones you picked up on. Let me know what you think of my theories and what some of your theories are, and also tell me what some of your gripes are with the movie or the things you enjoyed about it. So whatever it may be, whatever comes to mind, let me know down below. So till next time, people, safe.